Hey folks, this is Sam Roberts.
Hey, this is Kim Mitchell.
This is Hannah Georges.
This is Matt Mee.
This is Derry Graham from Honeymoon Suite, and you are listening to...
You're listening to...
And you're listening to
The Hulk Caesar Show.
Whoa.
Welcome to the Hulk Caesar Show. I'm your host, Hulk Caesar, and with me, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Newfoundland songbird, the real McCoy, Emily Malloy. Emily, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Our co-host, the Blackjack, Dickie Strickland, couldn't make it tonight, so we'll see him again next week.
We shall.
We've settled on that nickname, I think, though, right? Blackjack?
I like Blackjack.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Well, due to the new podcasting tariffs, tonight we've had to cut costs and combine a feature and musical guest into one single unpaid internship. Luckily, we found the perfect candidate. Not only is he the proprietor of O'Brien's Music, a downtown shop that was opened by his grandfather in 1939, he's also an amazing musical talent who has shared the stage with many of your favorite local acts, including Crooked Stovepipe, High and Lonesome, Pathological Lovers, and my personal beard hero, Dwayne Andrews. He's here to chat about his history with the beloved Water Street Music Shop, and a little later on, he's going to perform a short set for us at our Hot for the Moment studios high above Posie Row in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland. Dave Rowe, welcome to the Hulk Caesar Show.
Oh, thank you.
Now, Dave, you obviously grew up in a musical environment. What are some of your first musical memories?
Wow. Okay. So my dad had the Crooked Stovepipe bluegrass band on the go since 1973.
Wow.
So since before I was born, I've had bands jamming in my house. And then I had older brothers that were in bands when I was a kid growing up as well. So I guess my earliest memory would be, though, my grandmother's birthday on January 1st every year. We would have a big party above the music store because that's where my grandparents lived, was above O'Brien's.
Amazing.
And every New Year's Day, everyone would congregate for Nan's birthday, and we part of that party was always a big sing-along, a big jam. So that's probably the earliest memory of like sharing music with other folks before I was even in school. It was like family jams and sing-alongs.
Amazing.
That's
and
so beautiful.
To have your birthday on New Year's Day like that.
Right.
And
Yeah, she was a New Year's baby, and
baby.
all my uncles would be clearly hungover and
Showing up for mom.
showing up and trying to drink a beer or two to feel normal again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
together.
always a big party. All the cousins and aunts and uncles, and yeah, it's one of my earliest and like strongest musical experiences. It really kind of helped form my approach to music. Like it was like an everyday thing that
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be fun.
It's amazing to
So
grow up
cool.
like in such a musical environment like that.
Yeah, literally upstairs from the store.
Yeah, and if you wanted to take part in the jam but you didn't have an instrument, you could literally go downstairs and pick one off the wall.
Right?
And
That's the coolest.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We used to go down to
cool.
my grandparents' basement, and sometimes you'd find a fudge right down deep in the freezer. That's about it. Or maybe some skinned rabbits if we're not lucky.
True, skin rabbits. It was always terrifying. What was the first instrument you learned how to play?
That would be the violin.
Oh, wow.
My parents put me in violin lessons when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
So I did violin for a few years. When I was 6, I did violin and piano. And then after that year, I switched to piano and did like 7 years of piano. And then I didn't like to practice the piano, so after several years of piano lessons, my parents were like, "Well, choose an instrument, and we'll get you in lessons for that instrument." And so I had an older brother who played guitar in bands, and I had an older brother that played drums in bands. So I was like, I'm going to play the bass.
Nice.
So I got a bass guitar when I was 11 years old and got into bass lessons for a few more years. Yep.
Cool.
So cool. Did you play in many bands when you were in high school?
High school, I did play in in terms of like gigging, I was in one band in high school.
What were they called?
Super Glue.
Oh.
Cool.
And it was Richie Perez was the lead singer and guitar
Right of the show,
player.
Richie Perez.
And Elliot Dix was on drums.
Amazing.
Deadly.
And it was the three of us. And actually, I remember when I was in grade 12, I had to go to this mathlete retreat at MUN. So I would go to these math league competitions when I was in grade 11 and grade 12. Not because I wanted to, but my math teacher would kind of like strongly suggest that I should go.
I would
to
go
these
just
things.
so I wouldn't
And
have to
it
go to
was
school that day.
There's nothing better than getting up early on a Saturday morning and doing really difficult math problems with three classmates that aren't necessarily your friends.
Nightmare.
But as being in a part of that like whole math competition thing, I had to go to a math competition like weekend on the MUN campus in grade 12, and it was like a 2-night thing. And even the kids that lived in St. John's had to stay in the residence on campus at MUN because they wanted to keep all the kids together and they didn't want kids leaving and coming back, stuff like that. And I actually had to play in a battle of the bands the second night on Saturday night at the Edge, which is where Confusion is now.
Yeah.
Sound Clash 99.
Wow.
And so I had to get a note from my mom to leave a math competition weekend early to go participate in the Battle of the Bands with Super Glue, and we ended up winning the competition.
Oh my God.
That is amazing.
And we got a check for $2,000, and we got these sweet jean jackets that had
Yes,
Sound Clash
Bob.
99 on the back, stitched.
Do you still
into
have
the
it?
back. I do. I've got it somewhere.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't put my hands on it tonight, but
Cool,
it's somewhere. I would never have thrown that.
Next time you got to wear it.
Yeah.
So and then I was kind of like the cool kid at math camp, math competition weekend because I'd leave, play a show downtown.
Love that.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, I started playing. That was my second band in high school. My first band in high school was a band called Glitch with Brian Doughton.
Yeah, I
who
remember
plays with
Glitch.
Richie
Yeah.
Perez,
Yeah.
and Raquel Hookman played
I
cello.
saw you guys
sang.
play. Geez, at the Edge maybe or
Yeah,
somewhere.
definitely.
Yeah.
And Peter Harbin on guitar.
Peter Harbin, yeah.
The first bar show I ever played, I was 16. I played at the Ship.
Nice.
And I would carry a note from my mom in my bass guitar case in case anyone ever hassled me, but I never needed
Never
it.
had to use it?
I guess
Yeah.
I guess I passed for 19.
Nice.
And I would actually chat up like the staff, the bartenders, and the door people, so that if I tried to come back when I wasn't playing, they would just let me in
they
because
know
like,
you.
oh, that's Dave. Yeah, he played here before. I don't need to ID him.
It
And
worked?
it worked. Oh, it totally worked. I spent a lot of time at Junctions on the Edge when I was in grade 12.
Oh boy, I spent a lot of time at Junctions too. All right. Well, after the break, we're going to chat about the history surrounding O'Brien's music. Back in February, we had Shoresy's Terry Ryan on the program. From that episode, musical guest Jordan Young with the hockey song live on the Hulk Caesar Show.
Oh, hello out there, we're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. The tension grows and the whistle blows. The puck flies down the ice. The goalie jumps, the players bump, the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Terry scores. It's the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Second period, where the players dash with skates aflash, the home team trails behind. They grab the puck and go bursting up, and they're down across the line. They storm the crease like bumblebees, they travel like a burning flame. We'll see them slide the puck inside, it's a 1-1 hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game, it's the best game you can name. And the best game you can name, it's that good old hockey game. Third period, last game of the playoffs too. Oh, take me where those hockey players face off down the rink. The Stanley Cup, it's all filled up for the champs who win the drink. And the final flick of the hockey stick, and one gigantic scream. Oh, the puck is in, the home team wins that good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game, it's the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is a good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name, it's a good old hockey game.
Welcome back to the Hulk Caesar Show, brought to you by the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. From O'Brien's Music, we're talking with Dave Rowe. Dave, can you give us a brief history of O'Brien's music?
Sure. So my grandfather, my grandfather was orphaned before he turned 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
And his father died suddenly, and then his mom brought him back to St. John's. His father was fishing in Cape Breton at the time. So my grandfather, who started O'Brien's, he was born in Nova Scotia. His father passed away when he was an infant. His mom brought him and some of his siblings back here. His older siblings went into orphanages. And then because the mother died shortly after getting here to St. John's, and she had moved in with my great aunts. So my aunt Ivy O'Brien had the Ivy Hotel in the building where we are now at 278 Water Street. So my family's actually been in business in that building since 1906.
Wow.
And I'm the fourth generation of the family to be there occupying the building. And so my grandfather was orphaned before he turned 3. Both his parents had died, and his aunt Ivy raised him down on Water Street. And he grew up helping her run the hotel. It was upstairs was a hotel, and on the main floor it was like a confectionery, they called it, but I guess it'd be like kind of like a tea
corner
room.
store.
Stuff like that. And they lived at the back of the ground floor. There was 2 rooms in the back where they lived. And so he was raised by his aunt there in the building, and then she passed away when he was 15 or 16, and she didn't have a will. And the property actually went up to auction, and this was the only home that my grandfather had ever known. He had to get his act together to try and keep the property, because he would basically be homeless if he didn't keep it. So he got a school friend's mom to help him get a loan. From, I think, a local lawyer somewhere. Wow. He got a $5,000 loan, and he went to the auctioneer who was going to auction off the property, and he said, look, I live here. My aunt, she was going to leave me the property, but she never actually had a will together before she passed away. This is this is the money I've got. I've got $5,000. Do you think it's going to be enough to buy the building? And the auctioneer said, I don't know, but tell you what, show up 10 minutes before we're supposed to start the auction. And my grandfather said, okay. And he showed up at the auction, showed up early. And before the auction actually was supposed to start, the auctioneer said, all right, we'll start the bidding. Does anyone have a bid? And my grandfather was the only one there. And he said, I bid $5,000. And he said, sold.
Amazing.
That's
so
Wow.
My grandfather at 16, all of a sudden he owned this building on Water Street. He kept his aunt's business going like as it was for a while, but he slowly started to like sell different stuff. And he started to sell musical goods in 1939.
Was he into music before that? Like, did he play music?
Yeah, he was hugely into music. In fact, he had an entrepreneurial spirit from a young age. So when he was a kid, he would play tin whistle, harmonica, button accordion, got into playing guitar and banjo and stuff like that. But when he was still at St. Bon's, when he was like, 8, 9, 10 years old, he actually would go to school with a harmonica and play it for his classmates at like recess and lunchtime. And he somehow got another, because all his friends were like merchants on Water Street, right? He grew up down in the middle of the busiest part of town. And he got a gentleman that he knew who had connections overseas. He got him to bring in a box of really cheap harmonicas, and he would take a few to school every day in his pockets, and he'd play his harmonica. And if anyone wanted to ask, like, where can I get one of those, he'd try and sell them one on the spot.
That's amazing.
So he was like peddling musical instruments
at a young age.
Yeah,
wow.
to his classmates. So he was a natural business person. and yeah, so then like he loved music. He was really into Irish music, his Irish heritage, and yeah, he always had a passion for it and a talent for it, a real talent for it. So he always wanted to sell musical goods, and so when he got control of the building and the business, he started to bring in guitars and accordions and stuff like that.
It's amazing. And how did it come to be that you were the proprietor of the shop?
Well, so I grew up around the store. I started working there on Saturday afternoons when I was 11 years old.
I worked at Frank's SO when I was 11.
Quote unquote work.
Yeah.
My uncles just, so my grandfather who started the store, he passed away when I was 8 years old. And then by the time I was around 11 or 12, I was really interested in the place and I wanted to hang out there. I found like all of it fascinating. I myself was interested in music. I was interested in the gear, in the instruments, how they worked, how do you put new strings on a guitar, all this stuff. So my uncles would let me hang out there on Saturday afternoons, and they throw me a few bucks to hang out there for a couple hours, and I learned how the place worked, and I met all these local musicians, and I really loved the atmosphere of the place, how everything was centered around music and how musicians would come in and talk about music, and it was a really cool place to be. So I was working there from a young age, and then back in 2014, my uncle Gordon was the owner. My other uncle Rowe Jr. had left for another career, and Gordon got in a spot of trouble. He had to declare bankruptcy, and all of a sudden the store was closed, and no one had any warning about that. So immediately, as soon as I heard, I was like, you know what? Like, I think I could, run that place if I could somehow navigate these waters. And so I managed to get some financing and purchase the building and the existing stock from the receiver of my uncle's bankruptcy. And that's it. I thought I had a good idea of how the place worked and the vibe of the place, and I was already a musician and knew a lot of people in the scene, and decided to jump in feet first.
Wow. What's it like as a musician, like having access to all those instruments?
It was kind of overwhelming at first, and I kind of got at first it's like you want to have everything, you want to keep everything, but after a while, I came around to, you know what? I can only play one guitar at a time, one mandolin at a time. I only really need them for whatever gigs I have to do. So, and I'm not like a collector. Like I don't take out all my stuff and look at it, how cool it is, and enjoy it like that.
Yeah.
It's just like if I get an instrument and I'm not playing it, it's literally in the case for years.
Yeah.
So after a few years of wanting to own everything, I was like, wait, no, I'm not a collector. I sell stuff to collectors, and so I always try and keep only a handful of instruments for practical purposes, and it's very tempting to hold on to anything you think is cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, you can't you can't do that. There's only so much space.
Yeah. What are some challenges of running your independent music store?
Oh my goodness. Where to start? So there's the change in retail, even in the past 10 years, especially accelerated by the pandemic, movement to people buying online. So that's a huge challenge. Mm-hmm. Being downtown on Water Street, I mean, parking. Everyone is always concerned about that.
Yeah.
So that's always a challenge. There's a lot of the challenges because it's such a I basically took over a brand that was already extremely well known.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to build it up from scratch really. So it already had this reputation and a name that was known. So kind of already had built-in clientele.
Yeah.
A lot of the challenges were kind of the learning curve of running a business.
As I'm sure there's lots of things you don't think about until you get right in there,
exactly.
right?
It's I think I know how this business works, but not really. There's so much going on that I wasn't aware of. And then managing human beings
Yeah.
is not always the easiest.
Yeah, it can be challenging for sure.
And then, of course, like downtown can be a wild spot.
It sure can.
There's
Interesting humans.
there's a lot of characters, and so like I've had to kind of figure out how to navigate those waters, how
Yeah.
to deal with folks. I also live above the store, so like I'm down there all the time.
Yeah.
So
Do you like that living above the store?
It's not as glamorous as it sounds necessarily. It's definitely a blessing and in some ways a curse.
Always at work.
It's hard, exactly. As long as I'm there, I'm basically at work or thinking about work.
Yeah.
So to get a true break, I'd really kind of got to get out of town and get out of the building physically for a few days at least to get any kind of break. But yeah, like because I'm down there, like I see all the downtown kind of people, the folks that are on, having hard luck times and addiction issues and mental health issues. So it keeps it entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I gotta encourage someone not to sit in my doorstep.
Yeah.
And
That's the way it is downtown.
yeah, it is. Yeah. But that's it. I mean, it's still pretty mild compared to other downtowns. I was in Vancouver last
I lived
week.
in Vancouver for 20 years. It's pretty rough.
Oh, my
Pretty rough place.
God, yeah. It's
Getting rougher every year.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild.
All right, well, here's another track recorded live in our Hot for the Moment studios high above Posie Row in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland. With Ever Need a Friend, it's Colin W. Harris on The Hulk Caesar Show.
Stop what you're doing. Give me the light from your hand. Stop. Give me the light from your hand. In case I ever need a friend. Well, stop. Take your time. Give me an hour or two. Stop. Give me an hour or two. In case I ever need a friend. In case the world takes a turn for the worse. In case I ever need a friend. In case the world takes a turn for the worse. In case I ever need a friend. Stop, take a rest. Warm yourself by the flames. Stop. Warm yourself by the flames. In case I ever, in case I ever, in case I ever need a friend. In case the world takes a turn for the worse. In case I ever need a friend. In case I ever need a friend. In case I ever need a friend. In case I ever need a friend.
Holy shit, man.
Wow. You're listening to The Hulk Caesar Show, brought to you by the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall, and we're joined by Dave Rowe. Now, O'Brien's has been around since 1939. What do you think has allowed it to last this long?
Ooh, That's a good question. I haven't.
I
Really
mean, that's almost like we're going on almost 100 years now, 90 years.
Yeah,
It's a long time. And you said then for 1909, you said, or 1906?
1906 is
Crazy.
when my
So that's over 100 years the family.
Wow.
down there.
family's been in the building, yeah, in business in that spot. I think, well, part of it is like, I guess the family lineage and the next generation always kind of being interested in getting involved and
Yeah.
continuing it on. I also think it's related to something we were just talking about on the break, which is the abundance of talent in Newfoundland in all sorts of creative endeavors, but particularly music. My grandfather back in the 50s and 60s was the biggest retailer of button accordions in all of Canada.
Wow.
And he figured at the height of that, like in the sometime in the 60s, he figured there was a button accordion in every household in Newfoundland.
It's wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
So just the sheer amount of music that's made here, I think, has a lot to do with the longevity of the business. Also, being like on the busiest block of the busiest street
Yeah.
in St. John's,
Yeah.
it's a pretty darn good location in
Absolutely.
terms of foot traffic and just like people passing the door and coming in. So all those factors and also just kind of having a passion for the business that goes beyond making a livelihood. My grandfather was intensely proud of Newfoundland and the music that was produced here. Like, was always promoting local music, and my uncles did that too. And I try and keep that going as well. So having like a true passion for not just music, but like Newfoundland culture, and just kind of trying to help out local musicians whenever you can, and offering them a deal when you can give them one.
Yeah. Goes a long way.
Yeah, and encouraging them and
Yeah.
like kind of introducing them to older music that they may not be familiar with, and kind of like helping them find old songs if they're into the traditional music. Like, hey, have you ever heard of this group, or have you ever seen this songbook? Like that kind of thing. Like kind of fostering the scene has always been a part of the shop.
Yeah.
So like basically, yeah, it's a business, but there's kind of more to it than just kind of numbers. Yeah.
For sure. It's a family business. That's why.
Yeah.
Have you had any notable musical celebrities pop into the store?
Absolutely. So it seems like every summer when like George Street Festival and Iceberg Alley and the Churchill Park Festival are on the go, a lot of the musicians will find their way to the shop because a lot of them stay in hotels downtown.
Yeah.
The biggest one by far was last summer when Emmylou Harris came into the store.
Super cool.
I was so starstruck. I didn't actually recognize her when she came in. I was kind of in the middle of like doing something. I was really like had my head into something, and I was kind of like, her and her whole band walked in, and it didn't register. And then they were like talking about the shop and admiring the wall of accordions and stuff like that. And I was just like, tourist. and then this lady says, "Do you have this T-shirt in a medium?" And she points at one of our merch shirts. And I said, "Yeah, okay." And I go over and I dig it out and I give it to her. And then one of the gentlemen in her band said. He was like talking about the accordions, and he was like, "Yeah, that album I produced for that guy, he played accordion on that album." He was talking to one of the other band members, and so then I was like, "Wait a second, who are these people?" Like I like actually like I came back to reality and like looked at them all, and I looked at her and I was like, "Oh my God, this is Emmylou Harris." I was like, "Oh, holy cow!" So then I was like, I started to chat with him, and I asked Emmylou, I was like, "Do you mind if we get a photo together?" And she had her hair up and her glasses on, and she was like, "Of course." And she started walking around the counter, and she took her hair elastic out and shook out her hair.
Oh my God, I love it.
And I was like, "Oh my God,
Epic.
you're so cool! You're so cool!" And so I got my photo taken with her. And
Amazing.
then the other big one was probably Jimmy Buffett when he was here.
Wow.
And that
I
was
heard him on the
another-
radio when he was here.
That was another one. I didn't recognize him when he came in. Like, I should really Google these people when I know they're going to be in town.
You gotta get that face recognition software at the door, maybe.
Something. So he came, he played 2 shows, and he played on like a Monday night, And on Tuesday, this couple came into the shop and they were looking around. They said, "Is this the store where Jimmy Buffett bought the ugly stick?" And I was like, maybe. I don't know. He could have. And then they said he had an ugly stick on stage with him last night that he said he got at a shop downtown on Water Street. And I was like, and then I remembered serving a gentleman the day before, like at the end of the day on Monday, who was dressed all in black.
Oh my God.
And a all black baseball cap on. And he was really nice and smiley. And he had the fanciest credit card I've ever seen in my life.
Thick, eh?
Thick, like made of metal,
Yeah.
all black.
Yeah, I see
like
one of those before.
No logo. I don't know if it's a Visa or American Express or what.
Oh my God.
Serious.
And I was like, oh my God, that really nice older gentleman who was dressed all in black with the fancy credit card must have been Jimmy Buffett. And I was like, damn, I didn't recognize him. Not too bad. And then that day, at the end of the day, like 10 to 6, Jimmy Buffett comes in again for the second day in a row with like his band members, and they come in to buy strings and stuff like that. And I said to him, I said, "Mr. Buffett, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you when you were here yesterday." And
He loves that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He got a big kick out of it. And anyhow, so I got a picture taken with him as I was selling him some guitar strings.
Amazing.
So those are probably two of the biggest stars.
How about Russell Crowe? Russell Crowe ever come in?
Not during my tenure. He might have been in when my
Before.
uncle still owned the shop.
I keep expecting to see him, like-
back when Alan Doyle was in. Like,
Yeah,
Robin
right?
Hood back then.
Yeah.
I keep expecting to kind of like see him sitting on a corner smoking a cigarette or something, but not yet.
Not yet.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll set up for tonight's musical performance. It's now time for a live musical performance in our Hot for the Moment studios high above Posie Row in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland. Tonight's musical guest is brought to you by our friends at the Resource Centre for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. The Newfoundland and Labrador Sketch Comedy Festival is Canada's newest comedy festival, celebrating the best live scripted comedy this side of the pond. The second annual festival runs from May 13th to May 18th at the historic LSPU Hall just down the road from us. Features 27 wildly funny sketch troupes and performers from Newfoundland and Labrador and across North America. The festival features 6 jam-packed nights of side-splitting sketches, comedic songs, and off-the-wall characters. Check out www.lspu Hall for more information. Now, tonight's guest is pulling double duty. Here to grace us with a live performance, it's Dave Rowe. Dave, what do you have for us first?
First, I'm going to do a song by a Newfoundland songwriter named Bill Loffman. He's from Harbour Grace. His big hit is the Light and Power Boys, if you've ever heard of that, or Light and Power Boys.
Amazing.
He's known as the singing cobbler. He was a shoe repairman. But I'm going to do one by him called Looney Jack, and it's about a couple fighting over money back when you could put coins in VLTs.
Amazing.
Now come on, Mary, ain't you being contrary? You say you're leaving me and you ain't a-coming back. Oh no, dearie, I ain't being contrary. It's your lifestyle I can't hack, Jack. Well, you're a loudmouth, Jack, with a big bear gut, spending beyond our means. Down at the bar, drinking Blue Star, pumping loonies in them shagging machines. While you're pumping loonies, I'm going loony, waiting on you to come home. Well, then you come in here, drinking a beer. You spent our money for the lights and the phone. Well, no more waiting alone. I've decided I'm gone out in that big world, and I ain't a-coming back. I'll meet thousands of men. I may try again, but guaranteed he won't be a jack. Yeah, so it's bye-bye, Jack, I ain't coming back. There's a big old world out there. You're content as you are, down at the bar, pumping loonies and drinking your beer. Yes, you're a loudmouth Jack with a big bear gut, spending beyond our means. Down at the bar, drinking Blue Star, pumping loonies in them shagging machines.
That was so good.
Love it.
I love it. That's deadly. Very,
Amazing.
very John.
I just like
Prine.
singing shagging machines.
I know.
I like hearing it.
Perfection. Same. You've played alongside many of the city's biggest talents. Who are some of your favorite artists to collaborate with?
Ooh. Well, it's always fun playing with Dwayne Andrews. I don't get to play with him so much anymore because he's got like a family band going with his partner Aaron and his son Isaac.
They've been on you got that.
So yeah,
Isaac now. Yeah.
So, but back when Isaac was a kid, I would play bass a lot with Dwayne. That was always a laugh. And Dwayne was kind enough to take me all over the place, to Australia, to
Amazing.
Ireland.
Super cool.
We did a cross Canada tour one summer, so
Cool.
that was awesome. That's lots of fun. I love playing music with Jody Richardson and Grant King, who were both in Pathological Lovers. We've got a new project on the go right now. It's a 9-piece band.
Wow.
It's called Hit Piece, and it's like all original stuff, but real kind of dancey, kind of new wavy, dancey rock and roll.
Who else is involved with that?
Oh my God, who isn't? So we got Dan Smith on drums, Terry Campbell on trumpet, Nicole Hand on Barry sax, Chris Hernett on, I believe he plays tenor sax, I think. Sorry, Chris, if you play alto, I'm sorry. And then Bill Brennan on keys and Amy Joy on like harmony vocals.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
Super
a good
cool.
crew. It's a lot of fun. And then I love playing with the folks in the High and Lonesome band. So Carol Bestvater is a phenomenal fiddle player.
Nice.
Yeah, we have Ned Carroll on the phone, but Valmy's mentioned her many times.
Yeah.
when she's
Oh my
been
God,
there.
she's an incredibly good improviser, especially. But I mean, a fantastic virtuoso player. But in bluegrass, there's a lot of improvising, a lot of just like here's your solo, do whatever you want, kind of a jazz style. And Carol blows my mind almost every time we play music together. She's so much fun. And my good friend Daniel Benoob, who plays guitar in that group, and Matthew Hornell, who is living on the West Coast right now, so he doesn't play all our gigs with us, but I thoroughly enjoy playing music with Matthew as well.
He's really
so there's
cool.
some of the highlights.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
And what are you playing over there right now? What's that instrument?
This is a mandolin. It's the brand is Eastman. I sell them down at the store. So I got it at O'Brien's.
It's gorgeous.
And this is kind of like your classic bluegrass mandolin. I play. There's 3 bluegrass bands in Newfoundland, and I play in all 3 of them. Well, I shouldn't say Newfoundland. In St. John's.
St.
I play
John's.
in all of them.
Perfect.
So, like, I grew up, like, my dad had a bluegrass band since before I was born, so it's not very typical for this part of the world, but I grew up listening to bluegrass and country music, so I'm kind of steeped in that. And I'm proud to kind of keep that torch going, that my father and the co-founder of his group, Neil Rosenberg, who's a real bluegrass authority in terms of the whole scene, like around the world. Like he's a member of the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, but he lives here in St. John's. So I grew up learning from them, and so I feel like that's really kind of my specialty is the bluegrass thing.
Yeah. Awesome. You ever play any Soundgarden on that mandolin?
I may have actually in the past. I've played AC/DC on this thing. It's entirely possible. I don't know. I'm getting old. I can't necessarily remember.
They had a couple nice Soundgarden solos, a couple nice mandolin solos in Soundgarden. All right. Well, can you introduce your next song for us?
Sure. So bluegrass was like this genre of music or a subgenre of country music, and it was basically created by Bill Monroe. He had this like sound in his head for what kind of music he wanted to make, and then he built a band to match the sound, and basically created this whole subsection of country music that became known as bluegrass because he was from Kentucky, and his band was called Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, and so
And that's where the name bluegrass came from?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because they're from the bluegrass state.
Well,
So there was just one band, like before bluegrass was really a genre. It was just this band that had their own unique sound. So this is one that Bill Monroe used to do, but it was originally by a group called the Mississippi Sheiks, I think. It's a blues number called "Sitting on Top of the World." It was in the spring, one sunny day. My good girl left me, she's gone away. Yes, she's gone, and I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. She called me up from Burgeo, said, "Come on, Daddy, I need you so." Yes, she's gone, and I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. That exploits river is deep and wide. The one I'm loving is on the other side. Yes, she's gone, and I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Show me a woman that a man can trust. Yes, she's gone, but I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. You don't like my peaches, so don't shake my tree. Stay out of my orchard and leave my peaches be. Yes, she's gone, and I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. Yeah, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Show me a person that a person can trust. Yes, they're gone, and I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. Yes, they're gone, and I don't worry. Yeah, I'm sitting on top of the world.
that's amazing.
So cool.
So good.
Oh my god.
I saw Old Crow Medicine Show play like 15 years ago, and I think they maybe did that song when I saw them, or a version of it, some sort of version.
Standard in that
Yeah.
world, for sure.
Amazing. That's so good. I love it. Well, I think, you know what? Thanks to our friends at the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. We have time for one more song.
Yeah.
Dave, what do you have for us?
This one's called Mountain Dew, and so when Monroe had his band, the Bluegrass Boys, it was just like a sound unique to a band. But then there was another band that copied that sound called so the other band was the Stanley Brothers, Ralph and Carter Stanley. And when they started to copy the sound of Monroe's band, all of a sudden that was the birth of like a whole new genre. So this is a song by, I guess, the first official lowercase b bluegrass band, the Stanley Brothers. and it's about illegal alcohol. Mountain Dew. One, two, three. Down the road here from me, there's an old hollow tree where you lay down $1 or two. Go on round the bend and come back again. There's a jug full of that good old Mountain Dew. Yes, they call it that good old Mountain Dew, and them that refuse it are few. If I hush up my mug, would you fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew? Now Mr. Roosevelt told him just how he felt when he heard that the dry law had gone through. If your liquor's too red, it'll swell up your head. Better stick to that good old Mountain Dew. Yes, they call it that good old Mountain Dew, and them that refuse it are few. If I hush up my mug, would you fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew? Well, the preacher rode by with his head hoisted high, said his wife had been down with the flu, and he thought that I ought to sell him a quart of that good old Mountain Dew. Yes, they call it that good old Mountain Dew, and them that refuse it are few. If I hush up my mug, would you fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew? Well, my Uncle Snort, he's sawed off and short. He measures about 4 feet 2. But he feels like a giant when you give him a pint of that good old Mountain Dew. Yes, they call it that good old Mountain Dew, and them that refuse it are few. If I hush up my mug, would you fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew?
That was so good.
Love it. So good.
I love that.
Do you want to do Dickie's part?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do it like Dickie?
I'm going to try my best. Do it like Dickie.
That's a good shirt.
WWDD. All right, it is now time to play everyone's favorite game of questions, Caesar's Casual Conversations with tonight's guest, Dave Rowe. We have refilled the commemorative is a big word.
It is a big word.
We have refilled the commemorative ET, the extraterrestrial hat, with questions. Choose one and answer it as much as you'd like, or ask to draw another one.
Now, Dave, we had 100 questions earlier last year that the AI had written for us.
The old AI.
So now I went to the same AI tab and asked it to write me 100 more questions that it didn't already ask before. So we're on second tier AI questions now. So go ahead and take a choice.
And you can pick another if you don't want to.
Usually I only do that though.
I know.
What's the most daring thing you've done?
Ooh.
Read that again. I had your mic turned down.
What's the most daring thing you've done?
Ooh. We're getting deep into it now. Getting personal.
Now, what does daring mean?
Yeah, I guess it's up to yourself.
I guess,
to kind of decide.
like myself.
Something that like you did that you never thought you'd do. Not necessarily a bad thing.
I used to eat things for dare. Like you could dare me to eat a fly, or if you found an old muffin at McDonald's on the ground,
and you'd do it,
and I'd do it for money.
Nice.
but
Wow.
mostly a deer.
Okay. See, I never did that stuff like that. I grew up with 3 older brothers, and I wouldn't have lived long if
Yeah,
I gave
it's
in to every
true.
deer
That's
that
true.
I was ever introduced to. Most daring thing. I mean, I jumped off a ledge into a river one time. That was incredibly daunting. It was
Oh
about
my
a
goodness.
20-foot drop. So I
Seemed like 100.
I kind of had, once you're up there, I had to really push myself off the rock there.
That's a great answer.
That's a good one. Whitewater rafting. That was a lot of fun, and that was kind of scary.
Yeah, no doubt.
But was like probably the most fun I've ever had in a 2-hour span in my
Really?
life. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Where did you go?
In Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like it was so cool. It was so
Nice.
cool. Very exhilarating. Almost falling out of the boat several times.
Oh my God.
And then of course like seeing like sloths and trees as we're going by and stuff like that.
Wild.
Sloths and
Yeah.
trees.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was kind of nerve wracking because I'd never done anything like that before. Yeah.
It looks scary.
It does look very scary.
Yeah.
It is scary, but yeah, it's a whole lot of fun once you get over the fear.
The
It was funny,
adrenaline.
they had like a cameraman in like a single person like kayak who's taking photos of everyone in the larger rafts when you go whitewater rafting,
Wow.
and the facial expressions that you see on people, including myself, are like pure gold.
And
I
that guy's
love
like a
that.
Sherpa, right? He's just like,
He knows
oh my
what he's
God.
at.
on
He's like
camera.
going down backwards, taking photos with his waterproof camera, just like riding,
Spinning around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe not as much as an adventure sport, but my wife took me paddleboarding once in Burrard Harbor in Vancouver, and I'm not a big fan of the ocean, as Emily knows.
Yeah.
And I was told that you won't fall off, so I was not expecting to fall off at all.
Oh, no.
And then I fell off into the ocean and got the ocean water in my mouth.
Oh.
I didn't like it.
Is that where that started? The hate for the ocean?
It was already high,
was
pretty
already
high,
there.
and
Just pushed
didn't help.
it further.
It didn't help. How about you, Emily? Do anything daring?
Anything daring? Oh, I mean, not entirely. I went scuba diving.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
You get the bends if you go down too far and come up too fast, I heard.
Yeah. And there was like a barracuda, apparently. I don't know. Some people say that they just say it to like make your trip sound
Yeah.
exciting. But I mean, that wasn't exciting. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
But I've never swam so fast back to the boat. I was gone. Everybody else was on their own.
Cool. Actually, I got another one. I once went snorkeling with sharks.
Oh my God.
in a
That's
cage or-
terrifying.
No, they weren't like, they were sharks that were scavengers, so they didn't typically attack living things. But they
typically.
were big. They were like 5-6 feet long.
Typically.
And so we all go out on this boat, and they put a chum bucket into the water, and they let it go right down to the bottom, and it's about 30 feet of water. And so you can look in from the boat, and you see all the sharks circling around this chum bucket at the bottom. And then they put out a rope with like floats on it, and they go, "All right, get in the water." And so I was the first one. I was like, if I don't get in like right away, I'm gonna psych myself out of this. So I got in. I was the first one in, and I go right, which means I have to go right to the end of the rope,
Yeah, right.
furthest from the boat. So I'm at the end of the rope, and like looking at all these sharks swimming around at the bottom, but there's one shark that's not falling for the chum bucket thing at the bottom, and he just keeps circling the people in
my
the boat
God.
over and over again.
The
And he's got
ultimate chum.
and he had a
Yeah.
big scar
Live.
going across his gills on one side of his head, and I literally could have
terrifying.
kicked him with my flipper. He was that close, but he was just checking us out. But yeah, and he was the same size as me, so that was pretty daunting.
When you see a shark
pretty
with a
scary.
scar or something, I always think like he probably got a name somewhere,
Yeah.
and like people know who he is.
The sharks know him.
that shark is known.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, his name's like Fred or something. Everyone like, fears him
Everybody
in like
knows the
Wisconsin
story.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know how he got that scar, right? All right. What's the best gift you've ever received?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
that's a good question.
I mean, like somebody had to give it to me.
I guess that's pretty loose rules.
I mean, like I was going to say my child, but that's kind of like a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it wasn't really a gift to
It
you as
wasn't really
much.
a gift.
You kind of made it yourself.
Yeah, I did that myself. Made that for myself. The coolest gift, I would say my dad got me a really nice Tragically Hip poster. And it was like for a long time running for their I guess it was their documentary / movie. And he won it in an auction for me, and he gave it to me for Christmas. And
nice.
It was the most thoughtful thing because I was playing that song quite a bit at that time. So that was the favorite song of the family. So
Amazing.
It's cool. Yeah.
How about you, Dave?
Well, the first thing that came to mind to me was the Game Boy I got when I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't remember which birthday it was.
One sitting right there behind you.
Yeah, the original Game Boy. There it is. I woke up on my birthday, and my dad had just been on a business trip to the mainland. I don't even know if you could get Game Boy in St. John's yet.
Yeah.
And
The Nintendo shop over on Pibby Park didn't have it yet. Nintendo World.
No, they weren't around yet. They didn't exist yet. I think that was after the Super Nintendo came out. Was when Nintendo World got here. But yeah, it was the Game Boy was brand new. I'd never even fathomed that I would have one anytime soon. And then my dad had gotten one on his trip to give to me for my birthday, and I just remember being completely surprised and blown away and being oh my god, really, this
You
is
mean
mine?
I can play Tetris in the car?
Yes. Yeah. And then I was I'm playing Tetris right now. And so that was that sticks out in my mind as being a real surprise and kind of meaningful gift in my childhood. Yeah.
I love it.
For me, I'll go the opposite way now. My parents were amazing. I was super spoiled. I had all sorts of great toys and stuff, so I'm not complaining. But there was one year where I had asked for a Super Nintendo, and the gifts were all under the tree a couple days before, and there was the box, Super Nintendo shaped box. I was like, oh, I'm getting a Super Nintendo. So Christmas Eve, I went down to Frank's and rented a couple games and didn't tell anyone, of course, because you don't tell them you're getting a Super Nintendo. Christmas morning, we get up, we're opening the presents. They give me the box right away. I'm like, oh, I'm getting the Super Nintendo right away. Pair of boots. Did not get a Super Nintendo for Christmas. They couldn't get one. They bring those games back to Frank's and trade them in for Nintendo games.
What a sin.
Yeah, no Star Fox for me.
Oh man, I love Star Fox.
Mario
Do a barrel
Kart.
roll.
All right. What's a skill that you're proud of? Well, as you know, I'm a pretty skilled individual.
You're the most skilled.
Multifaceted, you might say. I like my computer skills. They always kind of pop up. I had computers when I was really young and knew how to use them, and then now I'm pretty much everyone's tech support. Every time I go to a job, I'm no matter what my job is, it's within a couple of days, computers work. I mean, my computers.
It's a good skill to have.
Emily?
I don't have any of those computer skills or technology as a whole. My favorite skill that I have. Parallel parking.
You got some pretty good skills over there.
It came in handy today.
That is a dying art.
It is a dying art.
She had to park her
isn't it?
truck out front there.
Yeah. Oh, it took 3 tries. I got it on the 3rd.
I think she went around the block and then decided to try again.
I did. Yeah. I needed to psych myself out because I was I can't do it. And then I was yes, I can. I drove around and did it.
Maybe persistence is your best skill.
There we go.
Tenacity.
I love that. Yeah. Resilient. I like painting.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a pretty good artist.
Yeah. I think that's a cool skill that I have that most people don't realize. Yeah.
Cool.
Dave?
I really pride myself on the ability to carry on a meaningful conversation with virtually anybody.
Nice.
Love it.
That's a real skill for sure. Real chameleon skill.
Yeah, I feel like I've got pretty strong skills that way. I don't always feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But if I'm stuck with in an awkward conversation with someone, I'm really good at kind of figuring
Riding
out what
through
they're
it.
into and talking about what they want. Anyhow, and also I cast a pretty broad net in terms of what I read and watch, and I studied philosophy in university, so I can talk about some pretty wacky things at somewhat of a meaningful level. So yeah, I pride myself on being able to talk to almost anyone. Yeah,
My
as long as it's in English.
Yeah.
my cousin / good friend was also a philosophy major, so I've heard lots of that talk.
Yeah. Well, I don't get too deep in the philosophy, but it's just it just teaches you how to look at things and I'm always questions always come to mind no matter what I'm talking about or thinking about. And so
It's cool.
I like doing that.
Awesome.
I like it.
All right, well, that's about all the time we have for tonight. Dave Rowe, thank you so much for joining us and doubling up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Got something here for you. We'll get you to sign this after. We'll put it on the wall. And then here's your guest gift. It's volume 3 of our zine. It's pages from my high school agenda from 1996.
Sweet.
This one is the day that I went to the Avalon Mall with a disposable camera and told them I worked for the Telegram and was taking pictures of people working in stores. And for some reason, I developed them. And here they are 30 years later in a zine for you.
Cool. Thank you. That's going on my piano.
Amazing. All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Next week, we'll welcome puppeteer Jake Thompson into the studio with some of his creations. Now,
Oh my God.
I don't know what's going to happen yet. I haven't really thought about it too far, but I'm really hoping we're going to spend one segment where we interview one of the puppets.
That would be so cool.
That'd be really amazing. I'm really into it.
Yeah, oh, we should make our own puppet.
Oh my goodness. Like popsicle stick
My brain
puppets.
is like,
You work in that, Emily.
yeah.
And
some
also,
felt.
musically, Rodney Slade will be here to perform live for us in our Hot for the Moment studio. So it'll be a lot of fun next week. Big thank you to the Resource Center for the Arts at the LSPU Hall. If you've got something to say, hulk@hulkshow.com. For Dave, Emily, and myself, I'm the Hulkster. Thanks for watching The Hulk Caesar Show.